There is a gift my mom and my husband has. It is the ability to remain calm in the midst of a storm. The gift of patience and self-control when faced with pressure. Trust me, I covet this gift and I am trying to exercise same often because you need this gift in marriage. Some time ago, on a Sunday morning, we drove to church and because we were almost late for workers' prayer meeting, hubby rushed out of the car with the kids and asked me to lock up since I was still trying to wear my beret and adjust my shoes. I complete my dressing in the car on Sundays. Somehow, I locked the car and forgot the key inside. I went to join them in the prayer and we continued service as usual. It was when hubby needed to pick something from the car and he asked for the key that we realized I had locked it in. It was sitting pretty on the armrest. The option of going to pick a spare key in the house was cancelled because the key to the house itself was also in the car. I became so worried and guilty, but I had to go on with service cause I am a chorister. I was to lead the ministration and I needed to be at my duty post. Hubby and some men in the church devised all sorts of tricks and methods to access the key, but all was futile because the security of the car prevented the possibility of hacking it. The only alternative was going to be damaging and hubby did not want that at all. You know how men adore their cars. He was under the sun all through service, trying to sort it out before we close, so we could go home, but no luck. I would come out at intervals to check on him and others, and I felt really bad for putting them through it all. After service ended and there was no headway, we resolved to call for the spare key that was with my brother-in-law in Lagos. He helped got the car, so a spare key was still with him, as at this time, it was already into PM. Hubby and I were stranded because we could not go home, neither could we use the car. My mother-in-law attends the same church, so we asked her to take the girls to her own home while we stayed back in town to wait for our key coming from Lagos. The church was getting deserted, so we went to the mall to grab lunch, and it was like when we were dating. Just the two of us, hopped on bike and doing our stuff. We ate, gisted, talked, and before we could say jack ... the key had arrived and the driver from Lagos called us to pick up. We went back to church for the car and we went to pick the girls from their grandmas. That day, like other days when I put us in trouble, my husband never opened his mouth to blame me or say any harsh words to me. Many people kept asking, who locked up the key in the car, and he'd say, oh, why and I? It's us. I was the one telling people, it's me.
Pushpin. My husband didn't react or behave towards me in an angry way. Neither did he make me feel terrible for ruining service for him. In fact, he was the one asking me to go back into the church whenever I stepped out to check on him. Pushpin. Our day that should have been horrible turned out fantastic. Because we spent ample time away from home, away from the kids, and we had fun, and it was because my husband chose not to react in a negative way. Pushpin. Everything could have turned otherwise. He could have been furious, shouted, say negative words to me, blame me, tell everyone who cares to listen that his wife is careless. He could have been aggressive, abusive. In fact, he could have left me in church and go someplace to cool off. But he chose calmness, peace, love, tolerance, empathy, understanding, forbearance. He chose not to kick me when I was down. He chose to turn our lemon to lemonade. He chose to teach me how to react in such situations, simply by his own actions. Of course, I apologized. I am good at that grinning face. And yes, I have learned also not to kick people when they are already down. And most importantly, in marriage, we have to choose our battles. By the way, we already dropped a spare with my mother-in-law in case we needed it again. Drop us a follow for more legit updates.